Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing good. This is Tutor Hira, and it's time for Grade 7 English class. Let's, let's log into aplusstudents.com. Then move to Language Arts section and open Grade 7. We are going to discuss chapter number 29, Point of View. There is just one lesson, and its name is Identify the Narrative Point of View. Well, we are going to discuss the narrative point of view and we will identify it later in the test. Well, the narrator of the story is the voice that is telling or narrating the story. So, the narrator, who is the narrator of a story? It is the voice, it is that person that is telling or narrating the story. A narrator's point of view is the perspective, is the perspective or the voice from which a story is told. Well, what is a narrator's point of view? It is the perspective from which a story is told. A story is told to you from a narrator's point of view, a voice that is telling or narrating that story. There are three main point of views. There are three main points of view. First person point of view, second person point of view, and the third person point of view. Okay, before discussing these points of view, I would like to welcome the students who have joined us in the live chat box. Okay, let's continue. 3 points of view: first person, second person, and third person. In first person point of view, the narrator describes events from his or her own perspective. First person, obviously, if you are describing something from a first person point of view, you would discuss your own perspective, your own opinions, feelings, thoughts. So, in first person, the narrator describes events of the story from his or her own perspective. First person narrators use first persons such as I, me, we, and us. These are four first person pronouns. I and me, singular first person pronouns. We and us are plural first person pronouns. So whenever uh, you observe these first person pronouns used in a story, it means the story is told from a first person point of view, and the narrator describes events from his or her own perspective. Let's take an example. I waded slowly across the river, holding my backpack high above the water. Now, if you look at the text, the word I and my, the pronouns suggest that this story is told from a first person point of view. Or you can say the narrator is describing events from his or her own perspective. So, this is the first person perspective of telling a story. In second person, the narrator casts the reader as a character in the story. In the second person point of view, the narrator casts the reader or makes the reader a character in the story. And second person narrators use second person pronouns such as you and your. Let's read this sentence. You turn the page in anticipation, eager to find out where the story will lead. The second person point of view makes the reader a character in the story, and it uses second person pronouns such as you and your. And see, this this sentence uses the second person pronoun you. It means the reader is casted as a character in the story. So these are first two points of view of telling a story. Now, the third one. In third person point of view, the narrator describes events from the perspective of an outside observer. Means the events of the story are described from the perspective of an outside observer, a person who is not the part of the story, but who is telling the story. Third person narrators use third person pronouns. And you know third person pronouns? He, she, him, and her, as well as the characters' names. Okay, as we are discussing the third person point of view, I've told you that narrator describes events from the perspective of an outside observer, a third person. And narrator uses third person pronouns such as he, she, him, and her, and the names of the characters as well. In third person perspective or in third person point of view, there are two subcategories, number one and number two. Number one is third person limited point of view. First one is third person limited point of view, and the second one is third person omniscient point of view. What is third person limited point of view? With a third person limited point of view, the observer's knowledge is limited to what a single character knows and feels. Well, the outside observer, who is narrating the events of the story in a third person limited point of view, is limited. His knowledge is limited to what a single character knows and feels. Like this third person who is the observer who is describing the events in the third person limited point of view can just describe a single character's feelings and whatever that single character knows. Maria wondered whether her new neighbor's laugh was genuine. Maria is one character. So maybe the third person ob- observer knows about Maria, what Maria thinks, knows, and feels. Okay? But with a third person omniscient point of view. The observer is all knowing and often reveals multiple characters' thoughts and feelings. That's why it is called third person omniscient point of view, means all knowing. Let me tell you how it is presented to you. Bernard was confident that the model rocket would launch without a hitch, but Nina had her doubts. In one sentence, two characters are presented. Well, about Bernard, we know that he was confident, and Nina had her doubts. So, this third person narrator or the third person point of view, which is presented to us, it is omniscient, means the observer, the person who is narrating the story, knows all, or you can say, knows every character and reveals thoughts and feelings of all the characters, multiple characters, you can say, as he knows about Bernard and Nina as well. Okay, there is a passage. Let's read this passage, and we'll see which point of view does it show. The bus is coming now, and you're staring at the tips of your black shoes. You've got to be prepared. You put your hand in your pocket, search among the coins, and finally take out 30 centavos. You've got to be prepared. You grab the handrail, the bus slows down but doesn't stop, and jump aboard. Well, you can say in this whole paragraph, these words are used: you, you. So, what does it show? The passage shows a second person point of view. The narrator casts the reader as a character in the story, you can say, using second person pronouns. So these are the 3 points of view that we have discussed. First person describes events, narrator describes events from his perspective. In second person, the narrator casts the reader as a character of the story. In third person, the narrator describes events of the story from an observer, from a third person observer or an outside observer. And in third person, we have two other categories: third person limited, in which observer is limited to the knowledge of a single character, and in third person omniscient point of view, the observer is all knowing and can present the feelings and thoughts of multiple characters. I hope you understand it. Let's begin the lesson with by reading different texts and different points of view, you'll learn more. Okay. Which point of view does the narrator use in the passage? Okay. You kind of remember having some bad dreams what they were. You just lie there flat as the faded streak of afternoon sunlight that slants through the western window and impales your bed. Now, look at the use of pronouns. You, 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 three times. Well, you know that this is second person pronouns. Second person pronoun is used in the text. What does it mean? Which point of view does the narrator use? Second person point of view. It casts the reader as a character in the story, right? Let's read this passage and identify which point of view does the narrator use in this passage. Ted Cole's children's books were of more intellectual and psychological interest to Eddie than the novels were. A cautionary tale for children came naturally to Ted. He could imagine and express their fears. He could satisfy children. Had Thomas and Timothy lived into adulthood, they would doubtless have been disappointed in their father. And it was only as an adult that Ruth Cole was disappointed in Ted. As a child, she loved him. Well, you can see the names of multiple characters: Ted Cole, Eddie, Thomas, Timothy, Ruth Cole, multiple characters, third person, third person, because the names are mentioned. He, third person pronoun, this is also used. So, what do these names and pronouns show? These are third person pronouns. It means the text, the passage uses third person point of view. Okay, from here you have to decide. I will ask you, you must answer in the live chat box. Ben's voice drawled on, thickened with food and drowsiness. He told of the big moose hunts of his days with the Indians. Listening, Matt couldn't make the man out. To hear him talk, he had been as big a hero as Jack the Giant Killer, but he didn't look the part. He had certainly fallen on hard times of late. No doubt about it, however, he could tell a good story. Which point of view does the narrator use in the passage? First, third, second person. I'm waiting for your answers in the comment box. Which option is correct? Which point of view does the narrator use in the passage? First, third, or second person? So, somebody is saying it's option one. Option one is first person. Well, first person point of view, no, it's not first person. Look, the names are used, the names of people who are not present. He, third person pronoun, he is used. Him, other names, Matt. So, what does it show? These are third person pronouns. It means the point of view is third person point of view. Okay. My phone is waiting on top of the pile of dirty clothes, right where it landed when I chucked it at the wall early Sunday morning, because the constant ringing was making me crazy and I was too tired to turn it off. Now, I've mentioned these words. Look at these words and decide which point of view does the narrator use in the passage. Well, if you look at these words, these are first person pronouns. It means it is first person point of view. The circus looks abandoned and empty, but you think perhaps you can smell caramel wafting through the evening breeze beneath the crisp scent of the autumn leaves. The people around you are growing restless from waiting, a sea of shuffling feet, murmuring about abandoning the endeavor in search of some place warmer to pass the evening. You yourself are debating departing when it happens. This is a text from Erin Morgenstern, The Night Circus. Does it use third person point of view, first person, or second person? You have to tell. I'm waiting for your answer in the chat box. Okay, so as you can see, the second person pronouns, you, yourself, these are used. So obviously, it's the second person point of view. Jonas went to his own desk and began to sort through his school papers for the evening's assignment. But his mind was still on December and the coming ceremony, though he had been reassured by the talk with his parents. He hadn't the slightest idea what assignment the elders would be selecting for his future, or how he might feel about it when the day came. Okay, so which point of view does the narrator use in this passage? Well, look at the names. And the third person pronouns his, he, these are used, and the name is will. What does it suggest? It suggests that it uses third person pronoun point of view. My Aunt Helen was my favorite person in the whole world. She was my mom's sister. She got straight A's when she was a teenager, and she used to give me books to read. My father said that the books were a little too old for me, but I liked them, so he just shrugged and let me read. Which point of view does the narrator use in the passage? Third, first, second person. Again, we can see the names are mentioned, names of people. Third person pronoun she. See? So, which point of view? Third person. No? Why not? Let's find out. Let me tell you why it is not third person. Look, my, again, and then the use of I as well. So it shows that the first person point of view is used in this passage, not third. Robert talked a good deal about himself. He was very young and did not know any better. Mrs. Pontellier talked a little about herself for the same reason. Each was interested in what the other said. Now you can see the names are used: Robert, Mrs. Pontellier, himself, he, herself. What do these words suggest? What do these pronouns and nouns suggest? That this text, this passage uses third person point of view. The bus is coming now, and you're staring at the tips of your black shoes. You've got to be prepared. You put your hand in your pocket, search among the coins, and finally take out 30 centavos. You've got to be prepared. You grab the handrail, the bus slows down but doesn't stop, and jump aboard. You, you, every time you is used. You is a second person pronoun and it is used in the second person point of view. Show second person point of view. I tugged again at my collar and dragged my feet in the dust, allowing it to sift back into my socks and shoes like gritty red snow. I hated the dress and the shoes. There was little I could do in a dress, and as for shoes, the imprisoned freedom-loving feet, accustomed to the feel of the warm earth. It's easy to guess. Is it third person, first person, second person point of view? I, my, these words are used. They show first person pronouns. It means it is first person point of view. The web students in groups of 4 or 5, as they walked down the aisle, people who were my middle school lab partners, gym buddies, glare at me. I close my eyes. This is what I've been dreading. As we leave the last stop, I'm the only person sitting alone. Very tricky again, okay? Don't get confused. Choose wisely. Is it second person, third person, or first person point of view? Well, look at the words that are used in this passage. I, me, we, again I. These are first person pronouns. It means first person point of view is used. The bus is coming now. Oh, it's already, you have already solved it. When you find your seat, you glance at the businessman sitting next to you and decide, he's almost handsome. This is the second leg of your trip from Miami to Casablanca, and the distance traveled already has muted the horror of the last 2 months. See which pronouns are used. You, you, again you, your trip. See? Now the words you and your, these are second person pronouns and they are used in the second person point of view. Gary Fulcher grabbed his arm as he went by. Gonna run today? Jess nodded. Gary smoked. He thinks he can beat me? The dumbhead. At the thought, something jiggled inside Jess. He knew he was better than he had been last spring. Fulcher might think he was going to be the best, now that Wayne Pettis was in sixth, but he, Jess, planned to give old Fulcher a little surprise come noon. Now, which point of view does the narrator use in this passage? Names, names of third persons are mentioned, then his, he, These words are also mentioned. It means these are third person pronouns. If third person pronouns are used, the passage uses third person point of view. Robert talked a good deal about himself. He was very young and did not know any better. It's already discussed. Okay, okay, guys, I hope you understand the topic, the point of view a narrator presents within a text. Let's you can complete the test and the questions later after the call, and I'll see you again next time. Till then, have a great time.